In last two videos, we tried to understand and explored prana and urja, and that is life, breath, and energy. In this session, we'll try to explore Chetna consciousness, how it is understood in spirituality, Adhyatma. And it is important because if we see spirituality fundamentally is related with consciousness. When you talk about spirituality, deep down we are talking about the levels of consciousness and how to reach there. So that's why in different religions we have like Krishna consciousness, Buddha consciousness, and likewise. So, or even like Brahm and Atma. So, in different ways, different forms, it's like a very subtle existence in terms of consciousness. So, but that is very high uh, for a sadhak, for a practitioner. At a practical level, we need to understand how things are uh, in practically in life, how things are, and how my consciousness attention is bounded, and what does freedom means, and what is the way towards freedom, what is the way to move towards uh, like a very fine consciousness awareness. So first we need to understand that when we talk about consciousness, what does it mean, and at worldly level how we understand it, and in spirituality what does it mean. So normally if I try to understand and observe myself, I consider consciousness, or when I'm awake, I'm not sleeping and I'm engaged in activity, I'm able to perceive, I'm able to see the things, I'm able to perceive the things, that I consider as ability to perceive in a way I consider as consciousness. So when I'm sleeping, when I'm in sleep, I say that okay, I'm not very conscious, I'm not aware of the surroundings, about my body. I may be just dreaming. So I'm only very little conscious, that too towards my dreams. And when we talk about deep sleep, Sushupti, we say that I was totally unconscious. I was not aware of anything at all. And that was like a black hole. And so I was completely unconscious. So at worldly level, that's how we understand consciousness. But in spirituality, in Adhyatma, at least in Vedic spirituality, the whole thing goes upside down. And we say that actually when I'm awake and in normal conditions in world and engaged in activities and perceiving the world, actually I'm unconscious. Not exactly unconscious, but in a way we can say that my consciousness is bounded, colored, or is as if we can say is not pure, is not free enough to perceive the reality. So consciousness as if perceive everything in a twisted way, as if colored by different aspects like my desires and my limitations of my senses, and my own deeper impressions which have been accumulated in my unconscious part, deep down buried within me. So these all as if create an illusion, create an illusory world, and I perceive this world, and this is what this whole existence, the world we live in, is. So, this perception is actually false, it's not true. And further, like we studied in Mandukya Upanishad, further it goes on to say that so different state, like when I'm asleep but dreaming, that is still better, because now my consciousness is not that much clouded with sensory objects, sensory perceptions. And further, if I'm in deep sleep without any dreams, that is still better, because there I'm totally in, as if deep down I'm not bounded and clouded and colored and limited by even my deeper impressions, accumulations at my uh, in my deep unconscious levels. So I'm not even imagining. So that is a very different direction in Vedic Adhyatma spirituality that need to be understood. And so we need to see that when we are talking about consciousness, we are not just talking of just one thing. In a way, we are talking as if different levels or different expressions also through consciousness. So one can say that okay, consciousness is just one. This may be true. This is true in a way fundamentally, but the expression of consciousness, the way it is bounded, the in the thing it is engaged, that differs, and that as if defines the level of consciousness, we can say, or that may define as the subtlety of the consciousness. So, for example, there is one very gross level where I sense the things in this world through my through my senses, through my eyes. I see the thing through my ears. I hear the thing through my other senses. I senses accordingly. I perceive the things accordingly. So, at a very gross level, suppose I held a stone in my hand, so I have a sense of through my touch. I sense that stone. Through my eyes, I see that stone. Right. So, likewise, I have a perception about that stone. So, this is a direct sensory experience, and that experience is as if creating some impressions in me, and I am perceiving accordingly. So, here, what exactly is happening is it's the attention. It's what we call as focused attention. My consciousness is flowing through my senses in the form of, we can say, right now we can use the word attention. And through that attention, I'm perceiving the things. So we need to see that my awareness as if have become concentrated, focused in the form of attention, and it flows outwards in the world. And it, whatever it senses through my sensory organs, attention perceive the things, because it is now concentrated and focused in a way. And because it is focused, it is concentrated, it is flowing in a definite direction, definite way. So it perceives where it is focused on. For example, not all the senses are active, or not attention is not focused on all the senses all the time. So what happens, sometimes I am focused on seeing, sometimes my attention is focused on listening, sometimes my attention is focused on maybe speaking, sometimes my attention may be focused on sensing through my touch. So how my attention, where my attention is focused on, I perceive that more intensely. And what happens? I develop the habit. I develop the, in fact, my attention develop the habit of focusing on the things, on the worldly, and develop the habit of, first of all, going out and perceiving the things. And specifically, like those who are more into music, they will develop more sensitivity to the sounds. Those who are into beauty, artistic in arts, so they may develop more keen observation on seeing capability, attention. Similarly, other senses are developed. So, what is happening is this habit of attention develops, and this habit uh, governs my life as if now, because this habit is there, so attention keeps on going or moving to the same thing again and again. In the same pattern, my attention is taken or bounded by some definite patterns. How I behave, what I have experienced, what I perceive, what are my, how my senses are developed. All these combinations create that pattern, and accordingly my attention is taken by different worldly things, including, for example, what I like, what I dislike, what are my desires, what I hate. So all these likes, dislikes, all this contribute to my pattern of uh, focus of attention and where my attention goes out. So somebody may be more interested in reading based on certain likes, dislikes, and certain experiences. Somebody may be more interested in music listening. Somebody may be interested in watching movies. Somebody may be interested in playing games. And so broadly, different types of areas where are developed, where my attention is more focused, more naturally and easily goes out and get attached to. So in worldly terms, this is required to be successful, to be more efficient and effective, because where my attention is, I become skillful and develop talent in those areas where I can focus my attention. For example, somebody may be more like, if we talk about schooling, studies, somebody may be more interested in mathematics, somebody may be more interested in literature, somebody may be more oriented towards science, somebody may be more oriented towards history. So, depending upon interest and orientation, naturally the tendency become to look for those kind of things, and attention looks for those things, so that it gets engaged there. So, I develop the habit of, for my attention to get engaged in, because that creates certain as if likes, dislikes, and certain kind of sensory fulfillment, we can say, or sensory sukh, enjoyments, we can say. So this game goes on. This game goes on, and that's how the life continues, and attention is lost and is bounded. And then I'm totally driven by different whatever is manifesting outside, whatever is there in the surrounding, whatever is going on. I'm completely taken by, my attention is taken by all the things around me based on my likes, dislikes, my enjoyments, where I enjoy, where I don't enjoy, and all those kind of things, and where my senses are more finer and fine-tuned, etc., etc., where I'm more skillful, talented. So all these contribute to this foundations. So what is happening? Attention is bounded. Now, so although I am perceiving the world, outside things I am perceiving maybe more keenly, more finely, and for example, science is based on that only, that to perceive the nature and the world more minutely and try to understand what is going on, try to understand the laws. Similarly, art try to perceive more emotionally, more with try to perceive the world in a very different imaginary way. So then, but the attention is completely outside and taken by the outside impressions, taken by whatever is going on in the world. When we talk about spirituality, when we talk about adhyatma, basically we talk about to free that attention from outside world and to be settled in consciousness or awareness itself. Now, so if we see, understand the idea is so that just awareness remains. It is not directed towards anything. If we study the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, so it talks about that. I mean, like dharana, dhyan, samadhi. The samadhi goes towards that direction where just awareness remains and there is no direction to the awareness. Just awareness. Not about awareness of what. There is no question of awareness of what. Because what means about something. So it's not directed towards anything. It's not awareness about something, but it's just awareness. So if we understand this principle, so then we understand the direction also, that we need to as a free my consciousness, and we need to as a withdraw my consciousness attention from, first of all, from all the engagements. Not that I stop my engagement, but as a sadhana practice, occasionally I wish to withdraw my attention and I work on my attention. Partly and largely because right now my attention is taken by the habits. There is a definite habitual pattern and it is completely governed by that. It cannot be free as if. Even if I wish to free my attention, I cannot, just by with my intention. So the first sadhana practice in a way is towards that, partly also that to withdraw, to be able to free my attention from the habitual patterns. And somehow if it can be free for some time, not engaged at least in worldly activities, maybe initially engaged in some sacred text or scriptures or and discussion about the spirituality and different levels of existence, etc., etc. That helps in withdrawing the attention from there, and further, slowly it helps in freeing the attention for some moments. Not completely, but there is a possibility that there are some moments exist where my attention becomes little freer. And then when I go into meditation, and that's like practice of meditation, dhyan sadhana, what we call. It's not exactly dhyan, but dhyan sadhana. Not exactly meditation, but meditation practice we can say right now. So there, as if the idea again is to just relax and not engaged anywhere, so that my attention becomes freer. So that is the direction. Another thing that we need to understand, so right now I'll try to, we talk to this level only, but also simultaneously we need to understand, related with these are energy and the life breath, we can say. So if we observe ourselves, so depending upon where my engagement is, where I am engaged and in which activities I am engaged in, what kind of engagement is there, my breath also changes, my energy also changes. So this is partly also need to be understood little bit. This is like it's like a package. It's not isolated. So, and accordingly my attention is bounded and taken. And we can say that my attention develops habit, and so corresponding energies, corresponding breath also keeps my attention at my attention engaged in certain things, looks for engagement in certain things also. So sometimes what happens when one goes into meditation, although one wish to free the attention, but energy is still engaged. My urja energy is still of that level, so it as if pulls my attention from meditation, try to pull it, and as if there is deep down that energy wishes to engage in something. My breath is of that kind where it wishes to engage in certain things. Well, maybe to eat something, maybe to watch something, maybe to play something, whatever. I mean, so different. So there is a habitual pattern of as if engagement of energy also, habitual pattern of my breath also, and as if those are also binding on my consciousness. So when we are talking about freedom of awareness, we are as if talking about also in terms of shift in energy and shift in my breathing. So as if my level of existence, the way I live, the way I am, also need to be changed, need to be shifted, so that my awareness can stay there. My attention can be freer for longer duration for some time, not just occasionally. Otherwise, most of the time my attention is, if it is free a little bit, by chance, randomly for some time. And I may feel sometimes good in meditation, but then again I am taken back and I don't know what is going on, what is happening. Sometimes I feel good in meditation, sometimes I feel agitated, sometimes even if I sit for half an hour, nothing goes on, nothing happens, because largely my energies are still at that level anyway, if you can understand those terminologies. So that one need to understand, and then slowly, as if through sadhana practices, through one works on as if energies also to engage my energies in different maybe spiritual text and spiritual ideas, so that or bhajan kirtan, so that a different level of energy also start generating and accumulating in me, and so that it can as if sustain the different level of attention and consciousness. So this is the direction. It further goes into many deeper levels, like as we study in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. If we study, then that is dharana, dhyan, samadhi. So right now, if we say we are talking to the level of dharana only, if somehow we can reach to that level where my attention, energy and consciousness and prana are at a slightly more in one line on spiritual aspects and spiritual ideas, and there I am as if I'm settled on one idea or one question or deeper query, and then I stay with that. So my all energy and attention and prana are aligned in one direction, as if you can say. So this is the direction to understand. Although it can go on and on. It's a very vast topic and just cannot be covered in just small one session. And so to begin with, to understand the idea, this is an indication, this is the direction one can understand and go towards, and further one can explore. And again, like in earlier videos I have said, these are just ideas, these are just words, and one has to explore within oneself, one has to see whether it is true for oneself, and experiment, explore, and if one finds that this is true for oneself and find it okay, this seems to be the good idea and I can try and experiment on that, then one can go deeper into it. And if one finds that okay, this is not aligned or this is not it's not the direction one has to take, so one don't need to force, and one has to see what is good for oneself in spirituality. Like Buddha said, upper deepo bhav. So one has to as if find one's own light, and these are just the indicators and help one can take help of.